Hi, welcome to Farm Talk. This is Nathan Otto. Here today to talk to you a bit about data certification as the combines go back in the shed following up harvest. So let's talk about it. I'm here today with Jason Taji, our CEO, to talk about how certified data can really help on the farm and turn data into revenue. So Jason, as harvest wraps up this year, what are some of our customers learning about the data?
So one of the things that we did this year is we allowed farmers to pool data into a crop tour. And certification is the step that we do, which is a little bit different than most of the other data. Most of the other data just flows from the machine into the thumb drive and into a piece of software. We want the farmers to go in and look at it, because it's my belief that if you've got crappy data going into whatever tool you're going to use, you're going to have crappy results. Yeah. And I think that's really one of the challenges we've seen in ag data so far, is that there's a lot of data collected, but the quality of that data is far from good today. And so if you can align the right incentives for farmers to collect good data, then the opportunity for us to learn more from that data is far greater than it is when we're just driving around and hopefully grabbing a map somewhere. So one of the values that we saw this year, or one of the things that we started to play with this year, is if a bunch of farmers are driving over the fields at the same time in different geographies, is there a way for us to combine that data and give us some insights into what is actually coming out of the fields in terms of yield? Because we've had so many challenges this year with the USDA and different aspects of the marketing side of things. We thought, well, this would be cool if we could actually do this. So for the first time this year, we started to do that. And I think what we've started to see is farmers who participate in contributing their data to the crop tour are able to see not only their data, but the aggregate data of different regions of the country and how the yields are coming off. And so that's some new market insight, right? If I'm a farmer in Minnesota and I'm starting to see, now I can see on a daily basis what the average yield from other farmable users is in Nebraska and Iowa and Illinois. Suddenly, I've got some more insights into the market besides just what I'm seeing. But I do want to say the certification of the data. So I don't think I quite finished earlier when we started talking about certifying the data. What it is it allows the farmer to go in and be able to validate or verify the data before they move it into, in this case, our data store. And so what that does is that most of the tools in agriculture today that collect ag data have a very narrow happy path, as we call it here, right? If you do this, and if you do that, and if you do this, 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 and if you do that, maybe you'll have a data set that you can use, right? And if you miss anything along the way, the tools are very unforgiving that allow you to go in and fix it, okay? And let's be real, the engineers that made the in-cab apps of any of these, they're not iPads, right? They are a pretty complicated piece of equipment that you maybe use once or twice a year. That's the other part, right? If you don't use it every day, like your phone, you forget how things work. So we've got all these problems with data coming in. Again, that leads to not very high quality of data on the product on the way out. But what we've tried to do at Farm Mobile is really offer tools that widen that happy path. So if you forgot to enter a seed variety, or if you forgot to enter a field boundary, or if you forgot to do something with your data in that that myriad of checks you got to get good data, we've allowed tools to be flexible and allow you to come back in and do that. And that's really what certification is about. By going in and using the tools, they're starting to learn stuff about their farm that they didn't understand before, okay? There's not a single farmer that we've ever been able to get a sale by going out there and saying, put this puck in your machine and we're going to tell you how to be a better farmer, right? That doesn't get people excited. Yeah. I've been farming this ground for years. I know it better than you, and that is the right, okay? But when you teach them how to certify data and how to make that data complete, suddenly they start to notice things on their own operation that they couldn't quite recall, right? I may have driven that field for the last 20 years, and I know where this area is better, I know where that area is not so good, But when you get to visually see it, and you get to see the steps that you're taking to try to improve that and see if they're actually working with some data, it's something that you can visually compare. Suddenly that starts to open up their eyes. So in the end, the data store becomes a benefit, and it's not the primary use of the tool.
So listeners who are first coming to FarmMobile may not know a whole lot about what the data store is about, and there's this first ever data exchange that's out there. So maybe help them understand a little bit about what that idea is.
I think the best analogy I can use is, farmers, they plant seeds in the spring, they care for that crop throughout the year, they harvest that crop, and then they put it into storage. And then they even have tools that help them, keep it in condition once it's in storage. But they would never expect anyone to come and load a truck out of their storage and not get paid for the product that they were taking out. I call it digital exhaust, right? As you're moving through the field, we have this ability to collect this data, and it's of very high quality, and we're able to take the exhaust that's coming out there, and we're able to organize it, okay, in a way that it can be consumed by someone else. Someone else could be someone who's providing you insurance. It could be someone who's providing you financing. It could be someone who's providing you agronomic services. It could be someone who's providing you machinery services. But being able to take this data that's generally not ever leaving that cab, and to put it in containers and to turn it into information is something that we're able to do with the puck and with the data store. And so once we, just like you have to take you have to plant something in the ground, you have to put a puck in a machine, right? And that's our equivalent to planting. And then it just kind of runs in the background. And then when you harvest it, you get to certify it. Okay, so it's just like harvesting the crop. Your data gets harvested, you get to certify it, and then we set it in storage for you. And if at any time you want to sell that data, it's just like selling the grain out of your bin. So we have buyers who want to be able to aggregate large data sets so that they can use the data to provide services and solutions and tools to the overall agricultural sector as well. And so when we're able to collect that data and store that data, then we're able to create a monetization opportunity for those growers. And it's no different than someone pulling up a truck to the bin and paying me for it. I'm sorry, there is a difference. And the big difference is you can sell this stuff like 3 or 4 times. The same data you can sell to 3 or 4 different parties. And the more history you have on that field and the more detailed your records are, the more we've been able to sell that data for. It's also important for me to note that the data store scares some people. I think about 1/3 of our acres are certified in the data store right now and available for sale. 2/3 of the acres that we have they're just using it for their own purposes. They don't want to sell it, and that's totally fine. What we want to do is we want to encourage the grower to be able to have a place to collect that data and store that data. Should they ever choose in the future that they want to monetize it, they can. If they choose to never monetize it, we're providing enough value for them for the findings and the learnings that they're able to glean from having this digital information about their own fields. That's fine too. And I just think it's a really cool concept. And the most important part about it is if we find buyers for your data, we contact the growers directly. We let them know who the buyer is. We let them know what they're willing to pay for it. And then we split the revenue right down the middle, where you can sell it over and over and over and over.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, Jason. And thanks for listening.
Thanks.